Alrighty, Knox. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Just wanted to get you this video over to you just so we can kind of compare your mechanics as we talked about to Mike Trout's over here. I have both of your mechanics teed up at the exact same time, and we're going to talk about them, and we're going to talk about some things that you can continue to work on, especially as you're starting to practice, you're starting to get into baseball. So I'm going to play these side by side, and then we'll talk about them. All right, so a couple things to talk about real quick. I want you to take a look first at Mike Trout's stance, okay? The biggest thing about Mike Trout, now, as you can see, this is, believe it or not, in the middle of his swing. So typically in his swing, if I were to put this leg down, he would be shoulder width apart. Let me actually do this. Let me make it green. His legs would be shoulder width apart, with all of his balance in the middle of his body, just like this, Knox. So if we notice, if we go to our mechanics then, we start in a pretty tall position. We are shoulder width apart, which is really good. But if you notice, our feet are a little bit pigeon-toed out, right? So it really makes it hard for us in order to build off the power, right? So the first thing that I would say is whenever we are talking about our steps, the biggest thing is to make sure that we're, first of all, centered with the plate right here. We are centered with our feet like so. Or actually, I'm going to switch up the color to represent your feet. So we are centered up with the plate, shoulder width apart. If I were to draw you right here, got our little stick figure. We're center of the plate, shoulder width apart, and we're in a really good athletic position, okay? Think about it just like if you were to shoot like a basketball, if you play basketball, or any other type of sport. Think of like a really, really athletic position that you could build power off of. That's where we want to be, okay? So I always like to start with talking about the base. If we talk about what we talked about in our lesson, in order to build a house, you can't start with the roof of the house, but instead you have to start with the base of the house. So that's what we're going to start with. If you notice too with Mike Trout and his stance, whenever he swings through, he keeps this front foot down, and he keeps all of his weight in the center of his body right here, right? If you take a look, if I were to draw to the center of your body, you're going to notice that a lot of your swing goes into your front side, right? So what we really want is we want our swing to be right here and to continue to work through, okay? So that's a big thing, too, to continue to work on, is to work on making sure that we keep all of our weight in the center of our body. And especially if you take a look at Mike Trout when he swings, his back foot, actually, let me do this, stays on the ground right there, stays on the ground. Ours lifts up, right? So we have to think about it like this, Knox. Think about that like an anchor, right? Your 2 feet are your anchors, right? That keeps all of the power whenever you're going through your swing. So make sure to remember that whenever you're swinging, to really, really work on keeping both feet down on the ground and to start continuing to work into your backs, or rather your lower half there. Now let's take a look at if I were to put a line. So we talked about the bottom half already. So let's just say we've got a check mark there, right? Now let's talk about the top half. I want you to look at Mike Trout when he swings. So we talked about in our lesson of keeping our hands up, right? My goal is with this that I want to keep my hands up to work through the baseball. If we're looking at Mike Trout here, he starts here and he works through his swing just like so. He works through his swing. For us, we start with a very level swing, right? And if we're trying to think about getting lift on the baseball, we have to, on our swing, start with our hands more up, and then from there, work into our swing like so. In order to get that swing, what we need to really focus on, Knox, is keeping our hands up like how Trout is. I'm actually going to go up to Trout's video. Keeping our hands up, loading into our hands, and take a look at what his elbow does, Knox. If you notice, it goes into his side right here, right? So he's using that to connect in order to keep his swing close to his body. And then as soon as he's about to hit the baseball, he extends that elbow out to go and get at that baseball, right? We start with our hands up, we load into our hands, and we work through the baseball, right? If you take a look, we're not trying to, in our video where we're not trying to jab at the ball versus we're trying to make an athletic swing through the baseball. And you're going to help whenever you start really getting into your swing, Knox, you're going to notice that you're going to get a lot more power when you start in a loaded position. You're able to take a full swing rather than trying to jab at the baseball. That's one of the biggest things that you're going to start to see when you continue to work through your swing is you're going to see jumps in power. You're going to see the ball fly off the bat, right? So those are a couple things that you can continue to work on in the time being that obviously you have practices on Wednesday. So continue to work hard. Really, really excited for you this upcoming baseball season. Have a ton of fun and keep working hard, buddy.